everybody. Welcome back to the final series of Group C. And we have our last two players. There is one more spot in the round of 16 from Group C for these two players to fill. And the first one is spawning up in the top right-hand corner of Expedition Lost. He's a Red Zerg. He is American. Born and bred. He is PandaBearMe.
And in the bottom left-hand corner, representing Canada and Boreal Gaming, the Protoss who loves his stalkers and getting out of tricky situations, we have DeathEndD. Alright, to start this off, PandaBearMe sending a pretty early drone scout, and DeathEndD having some great micro. Wow, that's pretty sick. It was sick for a while. Now he's just following it, but
I'm kind of wondering what he's doing. Is he trying to block a gas from going down?
That's what I think is going down.
It's kind of cool if that's what he is doing. Either way, it's kind of around there, so he can gas block if he wants to. Either just by having the drone next to the gas so he can't take it, or by popping down his own his own extractor on it. But he sees there's no gas taken. He sees that it's going to be Gateway Nexus, pretty economic, and he's probably quite happy to see that because he has been a little greedy at home as well. Get with a hatch first.
Yeah, PandaBearMe, instead of going for pool then hatch, he is going hatch then pool, feeling not quite as nervous about some early Protoss aggression. In the previous games, I believe he did do pool then into hatch in the earlier games in his link style.
Yeah, you can play a little bit differently against Protoss. The risk in going hatch first is if he opens up with a forward fast expand, then obviously you expose yourself to cannon rushes, especially on somewhere like Expedition Lost, where there's a couple different spots for to where you can wall off a section of the mineral line and place down cannons. Versus
a player like PandaBearMe, who plays very, very heavy Ling style, do you think DeathEndD really wants to try to take this farther away third, because the Lings will be so fast with metabolic boost, get in there, and it'll probably deny it quite well. Now, DeathEndD may not know that, but definitely PandaBearMe favors that heavy Ling style, so I'm a little bit nervous about a third base for PandaBearMe, or for DeathEndD.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's kind of difficult for either player to secure a third base in this map.
But I feel like with the speedlings, it's definitely hard to take the map control as a Protoss that you really need to take that third base. So definitely PandaBearMe will have great map control. Also, his Overlord spread is very nice right now. His
Overlord spread is pretty great. He's got 2 Overlords. I imagine he's going to be sent in sometime in the next minute or so, probably about in 30 seconds. It's starting moving already, to try and get a scout off and tell me exactly what DeathEndD is doing, what his game plan is.
DeathEndD going into robo play, nothing too out of the ordinary right here. Getting up his wall and getting a stalker in there. That's a very interesting decision. I feel like a lot of the time he'd go for that sentry, but instead going for the stalker. The Zergling of PandaBearMe actually going into the natural, attempting to find something. It just barely gets speed, but won't quite get away. For PandaBearMe, speed is down, his third base is down, and he's currently just pretty hard droning, trying to get his upgrades up. And I don't think we're going to see any aggression from DeathEndD for anytime soon. Possibly if he does throw down these extra gases at his natural. What do you think we're going to see out of DeathEndD actually as he puts down that extra gas at his natural?
I think I'm kind of leaning towards an Immortal Sentry a bit more. With the Immortal being the first thing out of this rocket facility, no Observer. Observers would be what would be coming out in typical macro play and producing a couple of... The difficulty is Immortals and Sentries are kind of what you do if you're going towards a third base as well. It's when and if DeathEndD throws down a bunch of extra gateways that I would definitely say, okay, this is going to be Immortal Sentry. I think we're passing the point where DeathEndD would have to have a bunch of gateways.
Yeah, I agree. He's definitely playing defensively right now, trying to get out those Immortals, and now he puts down 3 gateways as we say that. I think he will be going for some pressure, and I'd like to say I really like out of PandaBearMe going for the Roach Warren, but then only going for one Evo Chamber with +1 ground attack. And I really like that, saving a little bit extra gas to get more Roaches out. And maybe he won't have that wall, but I don't really think he's going to need the wall because I'm almost 100% sure that DeathEndD would hit the third base, which is so far out there, and be a very easy target. And especially to have a proxy pylon in this top left-hand corner would be very easy.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of difficult for DeathEndD to actually get a proxy pylon, though, given that PandaBearMe has control of the watchtowers, and there's no way DeathEnd's going to be able to just sneak a probe past. However, he's going to be moving out now with 3 Immortals, a little bit light on the sentry count, but 3 Immortals is a lot of Immortals, especially for 8 minutes 30. It's going to be a very fast little bit of pressure coming out of DeathEndD.
He sat in the very early on. He went for a Stalker instead of a Sentry, which gave him a little bit more gas. And then he didn't build that many Stalkers or Sentries, so it's given him a lot of gas. And I'm a little bit worried of this very large Ling amount this decently large Ling count that PandaBearMe has, because these Immortals won't be too good against that. I think there really needs to be a warping of Stalkers or Zealots to complement this force, because they really need that meat shield. And it looks like that'll happen with a couple Zealots, a couple Stalkers, and actually a couple Sentries, beefing up this force all overall. PandaBearMe knows this is coming, really. What do you think the best position for PandaBearMe would be to be in?
It's going to be tough. I think once this army for DeathEndD actually gets up onto the high ground of the third base, it's going to be kind of tough for PandaBearMe to take the engagement. There'll be lots of sort of choked up small spaces that the sentries can really abuse force field at, and it'll be tough. But if DeathEndD is going to make his way up there, and PandaBearMe is going to have to come in from a couple sides, but DeathEndD can just block one of the force fields, and actually the time warp's going down on both sides. Nice little force fields siphoning off small bits of Roaches, and a lot of them are just sort of stuck behind the force fields and hatcheries here. Though it looks like the Mothership Core is going to go down to Queens.
Yeah, DeathEndD's army doing a lot of damage. I would really have loved to see the Zealots in front, which they were kind of stuck behind for a while. Sentries are trying to do their best at damage, getting taken down one by one, but there's so many Immortals for DeathEndD at the moment. DeathEndD focusing down that hatchery with his Zealots in just great force fields. There is some reinforcement of 15 Lings and 5 Roaches coming out, which I think really right now he wants a lot of Lings to deal with this. But at the same time, there's just so many Zealots being warped in. Hatches being focused down while 3 Spine Crawlers are going down to the natural PandaBearMe. I feel like DeathEndD definitely has a upper hand right here, but he desperately wants these Zealots to go in the front. He does not want these Zealots to be caught behind the rest of the army. There's not that many Sentries left, but there's still at least a force field per Sentry going down. And this is a scary position for PandaBearMe now. He has 4 Spine Crawlers going down in very nice positions, but he definitely wants another Queen for some more transfuses.
At the very least, these Spine Crawlers, they're not going to be finished by the time DeathEndD pushing up. He comes up here, the drones aren't going to be able to get into the fight with these force fields. The force fields stopping the Roaches from running away from the Zealots as well. And these Immortals get in, and they're going to tear down these Spine Crawlers so fast. No transfusers here. Warpings of Zealots coming in straight on top of the fight, and yeah, DeathEndD completely overruns. GG indeed. Welcome back to Deadwing. Thank you. And yeah, this could be our final game of the night. So let's introduce the player first, who's hoping it's not. That's our Blue Zerg up in the top right-hand corner. And he is, of course, down 1-0. He needs to win 2 more to stick in the tournament to claim his place in the round of 16. And his name is PandaBearMe.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, the green Protoss currently down or up 1 game, playing very well in the first game with a heavy Immortal Sentry build. It is representing Canada, Canada's secret army, and Boreal Gaming. It is DeathEndD. Alright, I'm really curious to see what DeathEndD is going to do on this map because of he's playing the past one with having a super strong Immortal all-in, but that won't work as well on this map. And we will see out of PandaBearMe again the hatch before pool, which I think is interesting because there's not necessarily something really quick that can come out of DeathEndD, but he's still, that first game, normally if you're going to lose it like that, you're like, okay, I want to be a little bit more defensive this time. But obviously, this is such a big map, he's confident in it not being aggressive.
Does that hatch look a little bit far away from the minerals to you? Is it just me?
No, I think it is. The left-hand side. The left-hand side of it looks a little bit far away, but hopefully, maybe not. I cannot tell. I don't have my build grid on.
On the mini map, it looks okay. I'm measuring it carefully with my fingers now.
Oh, okay. All right. Wow, trigonal.
It's placed okay. It's placed okay. Panic over, guys.
The Overlord of PandaBearMe will get we'll get a full scout into DeathEnd's main base, pretty much undetested, no units there. I'd love to see that Overlord not veer and actually go straight to the base, see everything. We'll see one gas, sees the second gas, and sees there's nothing on that second gas. Actually, he'll see neither of those gas. Wow, I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, it is a little interesting. Just the single gas, there's a lot of options. Generally, it's not going to be like super aggressive, but there are some builds that completely take the concept and flip it on its head. For instance, one of what I think is the strongest, easiest like face roll Protoss all-ins, and that is the 7-gate Immortal Zealot all-in. But we would have already seen
we had already seen the gates being added on and the sentries being added on with that.
Not quite yet. Yeah, no, not quite yet. The big tell for that would be a very, very fast robo, and it would be going down within the next like couple of seconds. I think you get the assimilator a little earlier as well, but either way, you definitely don't get a second.
You would get a double. You'd get a double 15 assimilator for something like that as playing.
No, actually, it just comes off a single gas. It's one of the tells.
Oh, it comes off a single. Oh, that might be
really scary and really deceptive. That's why it's so quite kind of powerful. Like you scout single gas and you just see there on single gas for ages.
Yeah, to my normal Protoss knowledge, that would be Oh, interesting. Actually, canceling the second gas of DeathEnd second gas right there. It's just going to be interesting for how PandaBearMe reacts to that. PandaBearMe seeing that double gas a little bit later, and now we'll see what he does. Now, I like out of DeathEnd making this wall very early on, adding 3 gates there and 2 gates in the back. Right now, going at 6 gates. I'm very excited to see, or actually 7 gates. Very excited to see how DeathEnd is going to do this. Definitely a lot of early aggression again. But I'm a little bit nervous for PandaBearMe. The attack isn't anywhere near here. But it looks like he's going pretty heavy gas. Or actually not pretty heavy gas, but it doesn't look like he'll have the creep spread ready, nor the units. Or nor the tech at least.
DeathEnd going up to 8 gateways. That's a super heavy gateway count. Oh, but DeathEnd is actually going to place down his proxy pylon in full view of this Overlord. That could come back to bite him. However, I'm not sure how far PandaBearMe actually wants to step outside his base right now, because he's scouted all the gateways. If he's counted them up, he's seen 8 gateways. He sees 1 gas.
He's putting down 2 spines.
Yeah, he needs
way more than 2.
Spines.
Yeah, he needs 3 or 4, and to pump out as many lings as he can.
Yeah, right now I think he's waiting for roaches, but this could be a mistake. If he might just sack his 3rd base hatchery, which could be all right if it buys some time. But right now, a big Walking Stalker is going to move up this ramp.
If he's waiting for roaches, though, he only has 2 gas, and it will be pretty hard. Actually, one of the queens will be sniped right off the bat. 1 queen down, only 1 spine crawler up, focusing down that zealot. Drones are being pulled on the left-hand side of these stalkers, but the zealots are actually in the back and not in the front where they really want to be in the front. One of the spine crawlers canceled, a few roaches out, and it looks like for now it's been detained, but he really needs to, PandaBearMe really needs to start pumping out lings and roaches, which he is pumping out roaches a lot, and I think he needs a second spine crawler to be put up.
Yeah, if he can get a few more spine crawlers up, it's really, really good. But right now, there's a big, big force moving for DeathEnd, and the zealots and stalkers outnumber the roaches right now, and that's not a position that's going to be any good for PandaBearMe. But he's going to throw it back for now. The stalkers just are kind of kiting back as the zealots try and get a bit of damage in, and the stalkers have to be kept alive. They're kind of a backbone of this push. DeathEnd doesn't have the consistent gas income to support warping in stalkers. He can warp in like 1 per wave, and the rest is going to be a lot of zealots. He moves in. He's going to use the zealots as tanking, have the stalkers just do bits of damage to the roaches, and gradually wear down his opponent.
At the same time, though, PandaBearMe doesn't have a ton of gas. I mean, he does right now, but it's going to be very hard for him to transition into anything because he's putting it all into these roaches. Now, he really wants to get rid of these zealots because after that, the stalkers will be very easy to attack. Zealots on the right-hand side getting nice attack. Zealots also on the left, almost maybe going to the middle of the line, but dealing with some lings. These roaches do look like these are pushing actually the stalkers back. The stalkers' right-hand side was exposed, allowing the roaches to push forward, taking out the zealots, and now, really with this attack, DeathEnd needs zealots in the front to attack. And right now, DeathEnd hasn't hardly done any damage to drones, literally no drones dead yet, and so he really needs to kill some drones right here, or all he's doing is preempting a very large attack by PandaBearMe with a very large amount of roaches.
Yeah, absolutely. And PandaBearMe, if he can get up he's actually getting a lair up behind this, so he's pretty confident in holding this off. And I actually think he's got a pretty good right to be. DeathEnd's store count is not critically high. Without Blink, these are no match for big road count. PandaBearMe can't step too far off feet though, especially with all the queens, and he's looking pretty good against this. A big swell of Lings are going to be the perfect answer to this. If he can get a big surround on all the Stalkers, they won't escape. They will die so fast to the Lings. The Zealots won't be able to protect them, and that would be the end of DeathEnd if PandaBearMe can make that happen.
Yeah. A lot of Zealots engaging now. There is 3 queens, each with the transfuse. That should do it. But there's also a flank by Link, which is doing an amazing job. These Roaches really want to kite these first Zealots, but right now it looks like those Lings really saved the day right there, taking the Stalker fire away from the Roaches kiting the Zealots. Roaches moving in very, very close to the Zealots, but I don't know if really PandaBearMe wants to extend out this far. I think there's too many Zealots right there, and these Stalkers wants to pull back a little bit and let this next wave of Lings try to flank or at least take out one of the pylons of DeathEnd right here. But right now with PandaBearMe, I mean, a 3-base economy with DeathEnd only with 1 gas right now, and it doesn't look too good for DeathEnd's economy, and PandaBearMe looks to be in better and better positions and also getting Roach speed. Now, obviously, PandaBearMe does not have the energy on these queens, but I'd love to see a connection of this creep between the main and the natural in the 3rd.
Yeah, it'll be pretty nice. It just helps his reinforcement rate a bit. Mainly, it doesn't matter that much, though. Like, it's just a very short distance. It would only matter for queens, really. But right now, he's got a fantastic concave setup. And DeathEnd can't afford to extend too far forwards, especially given these speedlings. If they get around behind those Stalkers and trap them in, it's game over for DeathEnd. Yeah. And for that's what PandaBearMe wants to happen.
For DeathEnd, I think maybe would have worked a little bit better is taking a 2nd gas, actually, which he is right now, but having a few sentries with this battle. That would change it so much, but he didn't because he did put it all into Stalkers. And now PandaBearMe will be able to take out both these pylons, which isn't something huge, but that is actually 3 pylons. 4 very close pylons for DeathEnd. PandaBearMe moves out and takes that out. That'll be a very large victory for him, actually. 400 minerals plus the supply block, and really, he's pretty much crushed all of DeathEnd's offensive capability. And right now, DeathEnd, I mean, he can't even get inside his natural. He's got to kill a gateway to do that.
Yeah, he is, and that's going to be a big problem, because if he breaks down, he's going to have to break down a pylon and a gateway to get inside his natural. And given that he's about to lose 4 gateways across the other side of the map, all these units are stuck outside the strong defensive wall. PandaBearMe can march up here and crush this army. The Lings are going to try and get behind the Stalkers, and they're going to try and strap them out of the base, but they're out there anyway. GG! PandaBearMe even score up 1-0. Or, sorry, 1-all.
1-1 right now. PandaBearMe to death. The top right-hand corner, playing for Integrity Gaming, the red Zerg that made a fantastic hold last game against our Protoss. We have Integrity Gaming's PandaBearMe, representing the Canadian Special Forces. Special Army.
And, yeah. Special Division. And down in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the Canadian Protoss player playing for Boreal in blue. DeathEnd.
Always getting that Canada and American mixed up. I keep thinking,
you know, they're very similar. I do it as well. They're pretty much the same thing to me.
They pretty much use the same amount of money. Things cost only slightly different. I mean, there's snow in both Canada and America, so it's the same thing. But, you know, we'll see what happens. And in this game, interestingly enough, PandaBearMe going for a pool before hatch. I think it's definitely because of the map. Very small distance. A little bit wary of what may come out of DeathEnd here.
Yeah, it's a short rush distance, just a 2-spawn map as well, and pretty good for cannon rushes. We've seen some insane cannon rushes on Overgrowth, and like there's 3 or 4 crazy cannon rush games that I can remember on Overgrowth, mainly where Koreans just go, you know what, I'm just going to wall off your entire ramp with cannons or something silly like that.
Just to point this out, DeathEnd just went Nexus Gateway, not Gateway Nexus.
Greedy.
Yes,
I like it.
He threw down the Nexus, he went Pylon Nexus Gateway. And so this is going to be really interesting. DeathEnd definitely has the guts to do something crazy, and I want to see what's going to happen out of this, because I mean, I've wanted to do like something like this for a very long time as Protoss, but it just doesn't happen most of the time. You just can't do it. But PandaBearMe going aggressive instead of how he's done every single other game, going pool then hatch instead of or hatch then pool. He's decided to go pool then hatch. So this is going to be very interesting. But 3 base right off the bat. Wow. What do you think of this, Mr. Trigonal?
I think it's pretty good. It's obviously it's not as economical as 3 hatch 4 pool, but actually a lot of people are starting to realize that 3 hatch 4 pool is not as economic as it sounds, despite the fact that you got a lot of bases and that looks pretty on paper.
You have the production,
actually,
I think.
Yeah, actually, if you get your pool earlier, you can get your queens earlier. If you get your queens earlier, you can have your production. The boost they give you is so enormous that you actually get a lot faster drones. So you can go up to a much higher drone count, and like pool and 2 fast hatches to follow it up is actually it works out pretty even with 3 hatch for a pool. But actually, these lings are going to get forced away. They do take a lot of health off the pylon, and that's something PandaBearMe could take advantage of later.
Yeah, definitely having a little point where with his lings or whatever he sends there to have a nice little wedge or hallway to get through. Now, I'm kind of curious if DeathEndD is going to go to a 3rd base or make this a very strong 2-base play, because he got that natural so quickly. And I think PandaBearMe knows that right now. He's feeling okay with droning up instead of making any units out of this, and droning up pretty hard.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I was talking about. Like, he's got so many lava because of those queens injecting all them hatcheries that he can just have a ton of drones in production all at once, and he's looking pretty good, outstripping the Protoss now in the drone count. Protoss usually has a little bit of a lead against both the other races in word count in the early game because of their chrono mechanic. They can just build them a little bit faster, but then Zerg can build like 200 workers at a time, theoretically.
Yeah. And theoretically, they could literally get every single thing at the same time. And okay, just really quickly from DeathEndD, I'm curious about what time this attack's going to hit, because he's already got 2 Immortals queued up. And so I'm really curious what this Nexus then Gateway timing will do to him.
Yeah, obviously getting the Nexus before the Gateway delays your tech a little bit, so he's already, like, if we imagine what we saw on the first game where it was like an 8:30 move out with 3 Immortals, he's not going to be able to hit that, but he might be able to hit a slightly later timing with more gateways behind it, more probes. It looks like he's going to stick on 2 gases and full mineral saturation on both
3
bases.
gas, actually.
Yeah, but he's not mining off that one.
Yeah.
So
no,
2 gases.
Now, I'm curious about when this is going to move out, because I think it's very important. What DeathEndD didn't have in the previous game was his sentry count. And so I'm curious how many sentries he's going to add in on this. And I think on Overgrowth, definitely, it's very, very open. But attacking this 3rd base, you can get some very, very good force fields and cause a lot of havoc because of that.
Definitely. That's the location hit with this Immortal Sentry. And DeathEndD has 1 sentry with this. I can't see this doing a whole lot of damage. It depends how PandaBearMe reacts a little bit. He's going to have to warp in a bunch of sentries. There's 3 coming now. He needs more than that, though, I think.
No.
That's decent force.
PandaBearMe has no idea this is coming. Actually, he does now. He's got all the Xel'Naga towers, and we'll see this coming. Is pulling back his units, trying to get a decent angle with these lings. Lings won't actually be able to do it. I don't think they should right now. They should wait a little bit. There may be some sort of flank that may be able to happen. Pinned against this wall. Time Warp does go down 2 force fields, but not super great force fields, keeping out the Roaches. Lings are propelled. Roaches are going home, and Roach speed coming out very, very soon off the back of 10 Roaches.
I think that was okay for PandaBearMe. He trades out a bunch of lings, which are not that useful against this kind of composition, for a sentry and 3 force fields. And when DeathEndD's force field count is as low as it is, every force field, every sentry is going to be really, really critical. He's currently up to 6 sentries. But what is he going to break down these rocks?
He may be able to get flanked. If he can get a good flank here, that'll be great, especially with Time Warp that went down. DeathEndD will have mass recall, but I love this creep spread by PandaBearMe, getting his queens in position and possibly getting a flank.
Yeah, and he's got a pretty big wide open space. DeathEndD's going to have to use a lot of force fields to actually do much here, but looks like he'll use enough. Picking up quite a lot of roaches, a lot of lings. Yeah, but now the Queen's starting to focus down that Mothership Core, and it's going to have to retreat back. But it will get... Oh my god, it's not going to get Sages.
Oh, it may actually go down.
Fall down. But, yeah, all the Queens now trapped, and they're going to have to use all their all their transfusions on themselves, and they're not quite. That's not really ideal. DeathEnd's walked in a lot of sentries now. He's got so many. Doesn't even need to actually have saved up the force fields. He just warps them in as and when he needs them. And now it's looking a little bit scary for PandaBearMe. DeathEnd's got a pretty scary Protoss ball now.
Essentially, yes. If there was only these 3 Immortals, that would still be very scary. Now, PandaBearMe does have Roach speed here and is playing on creep, so he's a pretty good idea what's going on, but he does not want to engage this right now. No matter how good of a concave, I don't think it'll actually win. He needs to wait a little while. What is he doing here? He may actually get force fields out of his own third, and I don't think that's a good idea. I think he wants a lot of Lings to flank this, which it looks like he actually may be able to do with taking this aggression. The force fields will force feed a lot of this army out, and right now DeathEnd can get a couple more force fields. He can get a nice position. Warp Prism warping in Zealots, or warping in a little army next to the PandaBearMe's third. Ling's attempting to have a little bit of a flank on DeathEnd, but it won't work too well. Roach is engaging. Roach is taking out a lot of these sentries. One Immortal in the back trying to do a lot of damage, but he really needs the 2 Immortals in the front to attack these Roaches. Roach is doing a decent amount of damage, but there's just still so many Immortals. 3 Immortals, so many sentries. Even with the meager reinforcements coming in for PandaBearMe, I'm not sure what he can do.
Yeah, these Immortals have never really come under threat, and as a result, they're on double-digit kills each. One of them on 23 kills right now, and taking out that hatchery as well. And now the third base is being broken. PandaBearMe got 14 army supply. I think we know who our next Group C advancee is going to be, and I don't think it's going to be PandaBearMe.
8 spine crawlers going down, though. This is going to have to be some sick hold, but you know what? I want to see a sick hold right here. I would love to see a sick hold. And I'm sorry, Jamie. I know what we talked about halfway during the break. So I'm sorry, but I'd love to see a sick hold and this go on for a while.
It would be it definitely would be something. 11 spine cores. A lot of them are going to finish just because there's so many of them, but still with 3 Immortals, he's going to blast through these pretty well. Doesn't even need to throw down any Guardian Shields, and the spine cores are just falling so fast. DeathEnd is crushing through this. I think he's got enough. I think he's done it. PandaBearMe agrees. GG, well played, and DeathEnd finally managed to close it out 2-1.